If you are currently living that side hustle life, running your business on the side of your 9 to 5, I'm sure you are really, really excited for when the day finally comes that you can go full time in your business and kiss corporate life goodbye. You already know that there's a ton you need to plan for as far as consistent income and figuring out health insurance and structuring what your days are going to look like and all of those kind of more logistical things. But there's a lot more to it than that. Leaving my 9 to 5 is one of the things I'm most proud of in my life. It was truly one of the most exciting things that I have ever done. And there were times I didn't think it would be possible. But there was also a lot that I was really unprepared for. So today I want to walk you through a couple of things that I was not expecting when I quit my job to run my business full time and share what I want you to know if you're standing on the ledge and getting ready to take that jump yourself. Welcome to the Six Figure Brand Podcast, where each week we're pulling back the curtain on what it really takes to build a six-figure business as an online service provider. I'm your host, Morgan. I'm a branding expert, online agency owner, mom of 2, and military spouse, and I'm obsessed with helping entrepreneurs like you understand the ins and outs of branding so that you can use it to grow your business without sacrificing your sanity. Whether you're just starting out or focused on scaling, we're diving into everything you need to build a profitable and sustainable online business. Let's get to it. I thought that quitting my 9 to 5 would be the happiest day of my life. And in a lot of ways, it was probably not at this point after getting married and having kids the happiest, but at the time it was the accomplishment I was most proud of. And there was also a lot of stuff that came with that I was really, really unprepared for. So we're going to talk about that today so that if you are on the way to leaving your 9 to 5, you can be a little more prepared for some of this stuff than I was. Because I think all of these things that we're going to talk about are pretty unavoidable, but you can definitely anticipate and prepare for them. So to tell you the Cliff Notes backstory of kind of how I got to this point of leaving my 9 to 5, and if you want the more detailed version, go back to episode 1. I had been building my business on the side for about 2 years. My husband and I were about to get married. I was kind of at that point where I couldn't grow my business anymore in the evenings and weekends at the time that I had. And so I kind of had to make a decision if I was fine with just staying small and side hustling or if I really wanted to pursue this full time. Coincidentally, I don't know, call this a sign from the universe if you want. I was, like I said, about to get married and go on my honeymoon, and I was running into a little bit of trouble getting the time off from my job. So I talked it over with my husband and my coach at the time and was like, well, this seems like the perfect time to just make the jump then. So I did. My last day of work was October 18th, 2018, and within the following 3 weeks, I traveled from Idaho to Florida for my first ever in-person business conference with my, at the time, business coach, Erin Morgan. I got married. I went on my honeymoon and spent 2 weeks in Europe, and then I came back and sat down at my desk for the first time as a full-time business owner. When I finally sat down and took a breath and was like, okay, this is my full-time job now, I'm not going to say I had a mental breakdown, but it was a lot for me to kind of process all at once. And I think in that 3-week in-between period between actually quitting and then getting back and being like, okay, time to get to work, I just kept myself so busy that I didn't really have time to think about the gravity of what I had just done or anticipate what things are going to be like now or any of that. So once I finally did come back and have that clearer headspace, it was really a lot. I think looking back, I can pretty clearly identify 4 things that I just had no idea that I should be expecting or thinking about whenever I left my 9 to 5. The first one is the judgment from what felt like basically everyone in my life. I knew that what I was doing was the right thing. And it was not the first time in my life that I had made a decision that other people were maybe a little confused by or didn't understand or were like, maybe you should be more cautious. And that I had this very deep knowing of no, this is the right thing. I get that it doesn't make sense to you guys, but I know what I'm doing. So that was fine. But I think the difference here was people were not afraid to voice their opinion. And that really threw me off. When I gave my 2 weeks notice at my job, I think actually I might have given 3 weeks notice. It's so funny. I was so terrified to go into my boss's office and be like, hey, guess what? I'm leaving and it's not for another job. I'm just going to go do my own thing. And it was totally fine. He was super supportive and great. To this day, that was one of the highlights of my entire corporate career. So that was kind of silly of me. Everyone else, though, was very confused. There was a lot of people that were like, oh, that's interesting, or we'll see you back in a couple of years. I had somebody tell me, another person kind of hinted at like, oh, well, your husband must have a really good job in order to like allow you to do that. So that was really weird. And then even some of my family, or actually a good portion of my family, was like, you have such a good, stable job. Why would you leave that? To which I replied, that's interesting because at my good, stable job, there have been 3 rounds of like major layoffs in the 2 years that I had been there. But again, like different generations, different mindsets. I understand now, but at the time, those things really stung. I was scared out of my mind and I wanted people to pat me on the back and cheer for me. And I didn't get that from as many people as I had hoped. And now that I'm on the other side of it, I can understand where they were coming from and it's all fine. But at the time, like really hurt my feelings and I was not prepared for that. So I think the takeaway here, if you are on the cusp of leaving your 9-to-5, is that first of all, you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. And their judgment really is about their own fears and their own mindset and things that are holding them back than it is about your future. I saw somebody post on Instagram today, actually, that I thought was just so wise in relation to like some personal things going on in her life. She said something to the effect of, it is really wild how much people get offended by the decisions you make in your own life. And her kind of like thought around that was doesn't affect them at all, but they sure have a lot of opinions about it and get really upset whenever you do something that doesn't have anything to do with them, but that they would never do in their own life. And now I am self-aware and emotionally intelligent enough to know that that has nothing to do with me. It's all about them. But at the time, I didn't really get that. So you are allowed to do your own thing. And if people don't support you in maybe the way that you are hoping to be supported, it's going to be okay. As long as you know that you're doing the right thing and you have 1 or 2 people in your corner, you're going to be okay. The second thing that I was surprised by when I left my 9-to-5 was the emotional roller coaster. I am in general not an overly emotional person. Like I don't really have like the high highs and the low lows. I'm pretty even keeled. I'm very pragmatic. Like I'm a thinker, not a feeler. So when I finally did come back from my honeymoon and kind of sat down, I was like, okay, time to get to work. I remember like physically just feeling a lot of, I guess maybe it was anxiety at the time. I don't know. Or like just kind of feeling like my head was spinning a little bit. And I didn't know what that was. I was like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? What's going on? I feel so strange. But yeah, it was wild. And I think that I just had a lot of emotions that I had maybe kind of suppressed and like ignored by just keeping myself busy, side hustling and working my regular job and planning a wedding and doing all of these things. That then whenever I finally did have that space for all that to come out, it came out and it was a good thing. Like I had a lot of really good and cry-y conversations with my husband and my coach and all of that stuff. And I think it was a good thing, but I just was not expecting the flood of emotions at all. And I kind of wish that somebody had warned me. It's interesting too. I have a coaching client right now who kind of went through the same thing. And I gave her a little bit of a heads up about this of like, hey, if you feel like you're crazy and you're like really emotional about everything for the couple weeks after you make that jump, leaving your 9-to-5, like there's nothing wrong. You're going to be okay. It's normal. Feel your feels. You will get through it. And I really wish that somebody had told me that too. Part of it also, I think, is there's a small piece of like grieving the old version of you while also embracing the new version, right? So I never really considered that I might be a little sad that I'm never going to work in an office and have like a team in that way anymore. And there are some things about my 9-to-5 that I do miss. I wouldn't ever go back to that, but I didn't realize that there would be anything to be sad about. So that was interesting for me, for sure. The third thing that caught me a little off guard, this is less surprising in hindsight, but I had a big business identity crisis. And I talk about this in a previous episode, which I will link in the show notes. I can't remember the episode number off the top of my head, but I rebranded my entire business like a month after coming back from my honeymoon and kind of jumping into the full-time thing. So I had gotten married, and with that came a name change. Previously, I was operating under Morgan Stapp Design, which is my maiden name. And then I was like, oh, it's fine. I'll just keep that as my business name, even though my legal name is changing. Tons of people do that. It's like not a big deal. No one will notice. No one will care. And then I got back and was like, okay, time to get to work. And I hated it. Every time I had to write my business name somewhere, create marketing content or anything, it just like felt so wrong to me. So I did a massive rebrand that I was not planning for. And it turned out to be a really good thing. Like I said, go back and listen to that episode about my kind of rebrand story for more details about that. But yeah, that was wild. That was not on the list of things that I thought that I would need to plan for. And I think I came through the other side of it much stronger and clearer about who I wanted to work with and how I wanted to kind of be perceived by the world at that time. So that was great. But yeah, I couldn't foresee that. And this will maybe not apply to most of you who are thinking about leaving your 9-to-5 or getting ready to make that transition. But prepare yourself to feel, once you get on the other side, like you have evolved a lot and your brand needs to catch up to that. And hopefully you're not doing such a huge rebrand that you're like changing your business name and burning everything down, but expect to feel the need to do some kind of a refresh with your brand. And finally, the business slowdown. So this is weird because my business didn't slow down, but I felt like it did. And I'm going to tell you why. So I thought that as soon as I left my 9-to-5, that instead of having like 2 hours in the evening and then like a handful of hours on the weekend to work, that I had 40 plus hours a week to work, that I would just fill my time with clients. And I didn't. I kept all of the same clients and like volume of work that I had had previously. But now that I had so much more time in the day, things felt so slow and I really started to panic. And that transparently is a little bit of what drove my rebrand, that I was like, well, I don't have a lot going on right now, and maybe this will like help, or at the very least give me something to do while I'm waiting for some more clients to find me. And it did. It was effective in that respect for sure. But I didn't really anticipate how much feeling that slowdown would impact me mentally and affect the way that I showed up and stuff. And I'm going to be honest with you, I like really, really started to panic and was like, oh man, I made a mistake. Maybe I should call back my job and see if my position's still open. I didn't. Like I said, I poured all my energy into that rebrand. Clients found me. Life was great. Like 2 or 3 months later, I celebrated my highest income month ever. And I remember I booked an appointment to get my hair done at the salon next door to the office that my husband and I were renting at the time. And it felt like such a huge win. And I think that was like a $3,500 a month, which is a good amount of money, but is like, we're not even anywhere near 10K months at this point. And still it felt like such a huge accomplishment after feeling like things were really slow kind of in the beginning. So I think the lesson here is just to be patient. As soon as you're ready for your business to be full-time doesn't mean that like your clients and your systems and all of that are going to automatically flip a switch and be full-time. Right? It's going to take a while to ramp up, but you keep doing all the things that have gotten you to this point, and I promise you they will get you over that hump. If I could go back to 24-year-old Morgan in 2018, who was scared out of her mind thinking, what did I just do? Leaving my 9-to-5 that I had worked so hard to get. I would tell her that you don't have to figure it all out right away. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to not be busy all the time. It's okay to feel your feelings, and you are not behind. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And those are all the lessons that I would tell you. Also, it's going to be hard. There's going to be a lot that you can't anticipate. You're going to have to pivot and adapt. And some days you're going to be like, what on earth was I thinking? Let me open up LinkedIn and start applying for some jobs. But keep showing up, keep serving your people, and your business will grow and you will get everything that you're desiring. So if you're planning to quit soon, leaving your 9-to-5 is scary and brave and vulnerable, and it's not going to be perfect. And a lot of people in your life probably will not understand. A lot of people will doubt you. But what a cool thing. Like, very few people do this in their life. And to be able to just take your time and your business and your finances into your own hands and trust yourself and say, hey, I got this, is something that you should be really, really proud of. So if you have recently left your 9-to-5, I would love to hear I didn't expect this story. You can DM me on Instagram. And if you are getting ready to leave your 9-to-5, you got this. Keep going. You're doing great. Thanks for tuning in to the Six Figure Brand Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to rate the show and leave a review on whatever app you're listening on. And as a thank you, I'll send you coffee on me. Yes, I'm serious. As a smaller show for now, you taking the time to do this makes a huge impact on how we can reach more people and how I can continue to create this content for free. When you take a screenshot of your review, follow and tag me on Instagram at @SpectandCo. I'll send you a $5 Starbucks gift card. As always, don't forget to check out the show notes for any links or resources I mentioned during the episode. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next week.